The ship's crew are the people who travel on board a ship and are in charge of its functioning, particularly when the ship is at sea with some responsibility when at port. A commercial ship's crew is generally organized into three divisions for the purpose of ship operation, which are the deck department, engine department, and catering department. The captain or master is the ship's highest ranking officer.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Representing the ship's owner or manager. The captain or master is legally accountable for the ship's day-to-day administration. It is his obligation to guarantee that all departments comply with the needs of the ship's owner or management. In addition, each department on the ship has a designated head who report to the captain. A chief officer is in charge of the deck department and a chief engineer is in charge of the engine department. The deck department is made up of the chief officer, second chief officer, third officer, and deck cadet, who tasks include practical management of the ship, lines, and small boats, as well as the usage and maintenance of ground tackle and cargo handling gear. Engineers on board ship are often known as technical officers in the engine department. They are in charge of keeping machinery in good working order. This comprises not only the engine and the propulsion system, but also the electrical power supply, loading and discharging mechanism, and freshwater generator. On-board ships are also increasingly using environment protection technology, fuel treatment system, and conditioning device. All of these are maintained by engine department personnel. Last but not least, the cooking department will be in charge of ordering and managing the delivery of food supplies, as well as galley supply on board.
Duty assigned to each members of the crew. Captain. Captain commands the ship and is responsible for the safety of all crew and the vessel. First officer. First officer is in charge of the on-board day-to-day running of the ship. He is also the ship's safety and security officer. Second officer. Second officer takes specific responsibility for navigation, the upkeep of charts, and software of the vessel. Bosun. Bosun looks after the maintenance of the on-deck areas, the rigging, and the sails. Bosun mates. Bosun mates, or ordinary seamen, which is known as OB, and able seamen, which is known as AB. They help the bosun with hard tasks, which roughly translate into a lot of work on the sails, rigging, and maintenance on deck department. The only difference of AB and OB is that AB has 2 or more years experience at sea and has well-equipped skill on board. Chief Engineer. Chief Engineer is in charge of the engineering depth and responsible for the upkeep of all engineering systems. Second Engineer. Second Engineer does all the daily checklist routine and the messy jobs the Chief Engineer doesn't want it to do. Cook. Cook is one of the most important people on board. He or she prepares food and drinks for all the crew on board the vessel.
Next is equipment and machineries. It can be categorized by machineries, navigation, communication, and safety equipment. First, I will talk about machineries, which is number 1, main engine. Main engine means any internal combustion, compression ignition engine that is configured to supply propulsion power for an ocean-going vessel, regardless of whether the propulsion system is direct drive, gear drive, or diesel electric. Next is main engine heat exchanger. Heat exchanger is a device that uses exhaust heat to aid the fuel evaporation. It usually is built into the intake manifold as an area where the hot exhaust gas and fuel air mixture come close to each other. Next is propeller. Propeller is a device that consists of a central hub with radiating blade placed and twist so that each form part of a helical surface and that is used to propel a vehicle such as a ship and airplane. Last is bilge pump. Bilge pumps are a type of marine water pump found on both large and small ships. They are responsible for removing water, accumulating bilge well and throwing it overboard. Next category is navigation equipment. First is echo sounder. A co-sounder measured the depth of water by measuring the time for a pulse of energy to travel to the seabed and back and work on the principle of reflection of acoustic energy. Next is GPS. GPS, or the Global Positioning System, is utility that provide user with positioning, navigation and timing service. And then we have sextant. Sextant is instrument for determine the angle between the horizon and a celestial body such as the sun, the moon or the star. Use its celestial navigation to determine latitude and longitude. Next is magnetic compass, which is an instrument for determining direction of the surface of the earth by means of a magnetic pointer that aligns itself with earth magnetic field.
Let's proceed with other communication and safety equipments. For communication equipments, there are three equipments that were used on the vessel to communicate. First is VHF. Very high frequency are two-way communicators which are used to transfer and receive message. Second, walkie-talkie, also known as two-way radios, are allowed on board cruise ships for your personal communications. Lastly, a loud hailer intercommunication device is an electronic communications system intended for limited or private dialogue, direction, collaboration, or announcements. Next, for safety equipments, we were provided on the vessel with 6 safety equipments. The 6 safety equipments are life jacket, life raft, life buoys, first aid kit, BS set, and portable fire extinguishers. The main purpose of safety equipment in a vessel is to save lives and protect your vessels and business. It is also the law.